Hope you're doing good. Micah back with another video. Back here with my Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus. 2 weeks later, review slash feature breakdown from the perspective of things that I hope Samsung improves for the Galaxy S25 series next year. So hopefully you're going to be interested in this video. It's a little different. Along with talking about the improvements that we have liked and seen over the course of the year between the S23 series and S24 now, what can they improve on going into the S25? So if you guys are interested in content like this, tech reviews, smartphones, tablets, watches, and their accessories, make sure you guys ignite that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. It's all free. That way you notice my videos, so you and I can sit back and see what's cracking. Now let's get into the video. And as you guys see, I do end up having that red Crave case on here. After all, I have been slowly growing to appreciate cases as I venture out and trying some new ones. So this is the Crave case on my cobalt, purple, or violet S24 Plus. Now, one of the first things that I want to address here is phone call quality slash speaker quality. It's interesting this year because I kind of noticed it with the S23 Ultra, and I did kind of notice it with the S22 Ultra. But what I've noticed with the S24 Plus is when you're on a phone call. So if we go in here to the phone app, and where's my little dialer at? Where's the dialer at? Oh, keypad. I just noticed they've even rearranged the bottom of the phone app. Didn't even realize that. So, along with having your actual voicemail button right there. Oh, clever. And they also have your, I'm guessing, Google Duo built into the phone app. So those are a few things that I just noticed now upon looking at this here screen. Phone call quality. When you're on a call, the speaker quality seems to get very tinty and it's slightly uncomfortable to hold towards the ear. Whatever it is about the speaker, and this is with the case on or off, so this really doesn't matter about a case, the phone call quality does not seem to be that great from the speaker perspective. Now, in terms of connection and having that phone call uninterrupted, great. But in terms of the speaker quality and hearing the other person, the speaker quality on during phone calls is just not that good. So I hope that next year Samsung improves the speaker quality while on phone calls, so that way it's comfortable to hear and it's higher quality volume that we're going to hear when we have to entertain phone calls. So I did want to address that real quick. The other aspect of speakers is the speaker up here, they are stereo, and the speakers down here, I don't know if they're still tuned by AKG. That used to be a big branding thing. So I don't know if they still are this year. I would imagine they are. The actual speaker quality themselves is not as good as they have been in the past. Again, now granted, the body structure is different on the S23 Ultra, but the S23 Ultra's sound quality was definitely better than the S24 Plus. I don't know if I could say the same about the S24 Ultra because I haven't got to experience it, but I know between the S23 Ultra and the S24 Plus, the S23 Ultra's speaker quality overall was better. These are a little bit tinty again, a little bit high, I don't want to say noisy, but I think you know what I mean by tinty. It just doesn't really, it's not as clear in my opinion, and it's also not as bass heavy. I mean, it's almost not even bass heavy. And in comparison to my iPhone 15 Pro, that smaller size body has better sound, in my opinion, than the S24 Plus. Now, does that mean that the speaker quality is bad on here? No, I don't think so at all. I think the speaker quality is still good, but it's not great, in my opinion, nor is it awesome. I think it's just good with much more room for improvement. So again, in terms of the S25 series coming next year, please improve the speaker quality overall when listening to music. Now, I can't say on YouTube it does sound better. It is kind of crazy. It does sound better listening to YouTube than it does music streaming apps. I could argue it probably sounds a little bit better when it comes to streaming apps in general than listening to music, which is kind of wild because you most likely will listen to more music on your phone than watch movies and TV shows. Now, they do have Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision and different aspects of higher quality sound profiles that the phone could take advantage of, and maybe that's the reason why. But for whatever reason, listening to the highest quality level of music, both in YouTube Music and Apple Music, does not provide that great a sound as I thought it would have, being 24, or could you argue, oof, we did jump 14 iterations into the Galaxy S line, 15 generations in. They need to improve the speaker quality from that perspective. So I did want to highlight those two things to start everything off. And while we're talking hardware, we need to improve the camera hardware. I know that Samsung likes to do this kind of technique, if you will, where they drop new camera hardware and then they improve the software for 2 to 3, maybe 4 years before they finally drop new camera hardware. I'm actually fine with that because we don't always need to upgrade the hardware. Now, I also think that maybe we don't need a phone every year. I think every year just need to do some very, very high level focus on software and maybe switch to a biannual update for phones in general. I don't think that will happen in this landscape that we're in, especially when it comes to a lot of these companies bottom dollar kind of depending on hardware sales, and that primarily will come through their phones. But if we could switch to a biannual scale, I think that would work better for phone releases, because then maybe we do get new camera hardware more often. But I think it is smart for them to maximize the hardware that we currently have on the cameras with sophisticating the software. That way, when we do get new camera modules, that software has been boosted and is ready for new camera hardware. So I definitely do think we need to get some new camera hardware. The camera quality, the images we get, the videos you shoot out of this, as you guys saw in my Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus versus iPhone 15 Pro video, camera quality is amazing. The video is arguably the standout, and a lot of the photos are in the stand out more as well. What I mean by that is the photos that you get out of the S24 Plus, or probably S24 series in general, are going to be a little bit warmer than, let's say, your iPhone competitor. When I compared against the two, the iPhone, they both felt natural, but you could tell within my skin tone that the S24 Plus shot warmer. And again, that's when it comes to subjectivity. What do you prefer? And I think the camera's very, very good. It's also time for them to upgrade camera hardware, especially for the prices we pay. Just for that alone, you might as well give us new hardware on top of that, because you're going to end up giving it to us anyway, just maybe a year sooner rather than a year later. The improved framing of the phone. So if we take the case off here real quick so you guys can see how this boy shines. I really like this red case. I like my other cases from Rinky as well. This phone is beautiful and magnificent, still in perfect condition, right? What do I want to see them improve when it comes to the Galaxy S24 Plus? Well, I think what they could do is improve the framing. Bring that titanium here to the S24 Plus. Now, referencing, I think, jerry-rig everything and supposedly, I think Marquez. I think one of the things that they found out was that the titanium that they used on the S24 Ultra is a weaker version of titanium than Apple used on the iPhone 15 Pro series. Well, with the S25 series, what they need to do is bring that stronger form of titanium to all three phones next year. If you look at how Apple's updating their phones, the Pro series will get stuff, and then it will trickle down to the regular series the following year. So by that same model, we could extrapolate that over to Samsung. Maybe they do the same thing and bring that titanium from the S24 Ultra to the whole fledged of S25 series next year. I think that would be a very, very good idea. And I think what that will also do is it will soften the edges of the phone. Now, they're not necessarily hard or sharp from that perspective, but you definitely know that they're there. It's a difference between that and the iPhone 15 Pro. They're much more softer. They look the same, of course. When you look at the framing of the phone, they look nearly identical, almost even when it comes to the antenna lines and where the 5G bar is. Very similar to iPhone. But what I would like to see is softer titanium framing and edges for the Galaxy S24 Plus. And the one thing that still has not came to phones worldwide outside of Sony phones is a 4K display. The money that we spending on these phones bring 4K to the displays, especially the bigger size, such as this 6.7 inch and the Ultra's 6.8 inch. Even if it's not necessarily the S24 Plus, even though it should because they're only a millimeter apart, if you're going to call the phone a Plus or Ultra series phone, put that 4K display in it. We are now here in the age of 4K commonality. We need that to be part of these phones now, especially for the price that we're paying for these. So please, Samsung, bring 4K to your phones. You guys are like the king of displays. If it's not you, it's Samsung. I mean, it's Sony or LG. TCL's on the rise, right? Shout out to Sharp. But we need 4K on these displays, please. And last but not least, a red colored phone, a proper red. Now, as I said, this looks a little bit more red behind the cameras, or in front of the cameras, I should say, behind the scenes. But you can even tell here on camera, this is a red case. We need a red phone. Okay, not none of that weird colored, peach orange, burnt orange, salmon color. No, we need a red. You guys had a red phone back in the day that was super solid. You actually had quite a few red phones. We need those to come back next year with the S25 or even a random drop. Maybe in a few months or by summertime, you drop a red phone, a red S24 Plus or a red 24 Ultra or a red across the board. Maybe you drop a red Z series phone. We need a proper red phone, Samsung. Please. In its totality, what are some things I think could improve with the software? Well, if I go ahead and close that out, the lock screen. We need more lock screen customization. What do I mean by that? More wallpaper opportunities. Now, this is where I think Apple does have them beat. When you consider the amount outside of live wallpapers, right? As I've mentioned in previous videos, Samsung needs to allow us to be able to set more wallpapers for the lock screen. Apple allows up to 50, and they also have an album feature where you can just set an album as your wallpapers and it'll rotate through all of those wallpapers. Now, I do have an album that has over like 170 wallpapers. I like variety. I like freshness. I like opening up my phone and I'm looking at something different by the hour. Now, if it properly shuffled on a regular basis, because that's the one problem I have with Apple's software is that it doesn't properly shuffle through all the wallpapers, I would do on lock or maybe even on tap where I could just rotate them consistently, right? Now, that's me. But I do think that Samsung could benefit from something like that when it comes to wallpaper opportunities on the lock screen. And I also think the clock size could increase as well because this clock right here, if I switch it to this one, it gets unnecessarily teeny. Now, this would work for the S24, the smaller one, but not this big boy here. The S24 Plus and the Ultra for that matter, this vertical clock needs to be able to a size bigger. So I think being able to have that customization again, that freedom to make the clocks bigger would benefit Samsung a lot. Good luck. Now, I'm only mentioning this in this clock segment because this does apply. Now, if I go into Good Lock, remember I was complaining before about not being able to find that clock option? I thought it was in Clock Face, right? It's actually in Lockstar, but it still poses the same problem. So you can have additional refinements and adjustments to your lock screen's setup here. Oh, so see now you can add widgets. I did forget, Good Lock did add the ability to add widgets now to your lock screen via Lockstar, and I think you might be able to add more. I think you can. Yes, you can. So now there's a ton of widgets you can include on your lock screen now. All right, so I didn't actually click on the right spot. I guess I clicked under it and that's what allowed the widgets, but by clicking on that little icon right there brought the clocks back up. If I bring this clock in here, it's marginally a little bigger, but it will not allow me to size this up anymore. I can get rid of it, but it will not allow me to size this up anymore. Even if I try to use two hands, it will not allow me to size this clock up. So again, as I said, this is a very, very interesting decision by Samsung to remove the ability to resize your clock because that was a freedom I had within last year's phone with the S23 Ultra, or in other words, I guess you could argue One UI 5.1.1, maybe One UI 6, was that you had more freedom on the lock screen. Now, not so much. What else could we see? More widgets. Now, as you guys heard what I just said, you have availability of widgets within Lockstar, but they are like the full size widgets like these. And I don't think we want this per se on our lock screen. Now, maybe you do. Hey, to each his own. If you found a way to customize that, make that work, do your thing. But we need more basic widgets. So now that I'm in, you only have these. You don't have, what's that, 6, 7? You don't have a lot of options when it comes to widgets on the lock screen. So that's something that I hope that they also bring, is more widget options that actually fit the widget style and not the full-fledged widgets that you can use on your home pages. AI features. That's the next thing I wanted to talk about. But something I also realized is very specific based. Like phone calls on this phone, I'm not talking to people in a different language all that often. So I'm not using live translation or translation assist or call assist. I'm not using those on this phone, right? If you enter in here, you're on a phone call, you can hit call assist and it will translate the language. I'm not doing that often, nor am I eating at a lot of different foreign restaurants where I may need that interpreter, so to speak, in between. I'm also not using, now I thought I did this. I'm also not using the interpreter option. Now, if you guys see, the interpreter's right here. It's kind of like a live version of Live Translate or Call Assist, where if I click on it, it'll instantly bring up the screen, and now you could translate. I'm not using this all that often as well, right? So as handy as these features are, I'm not using them that often. Another feature would be coming here. Now I do like Google Messages allowing you to do this. This is nice. Chat Assist. I don't use it that often, right? Chat Assist, as cool as it is, I don't need to use this all that often. All right, you got Remix, you got Shakespeare. It's not going to be a remix, none of that. It's going to try. Now, what I could say is, and as I'm sitting here recording this video, one option is that maybe you don't know what to type. And so you can just come in here, maybe start with something and then see what AI will generate for you. So I can see something like that, but I don't use Chat Assist enough to justify being like a must-need feature. I also don't use Samsung Notes as often since I do use an iPhone. I use iPhone's Apple Notes to translate stuff between my iPhone and my iPad. So Summarize is the best feature that Samsung dropped for their AI because that's accessible within the Samsung apps and specifically with the internet. Definitely works wonders there. And that's really the only feature that I really use the most out of all of the AI features. And if you need a quick reminder of these features, come down here to Advanced Features, Advanced Intelligence, and this is essentially what you get, right? You got Call Assist up here, Chat Assist, Interpreter, Samsung Notes I just mentioned, the Summarize feature for both Samsung and Voice Recorder, Samsung Internet, right? Photo Editor is cool. I like editing stuff from time to time. And the other AI feature I use the most, of course, would be in wallpapers. If I want to change my wallpaper, using the creative generative AI wallpapers, I use them the most. The reason why I'm not using it right now though is because I don't like the fact that when you do set one, you get the little AI marker watermark down at the bottom. I don't think we need that for our wallpapers. Like, could they please allow that to be removed or just not be shown, period? Because at the end of the day, you're not even letting us save the wallpapers. So there's got to be a give and take. There's got to be a pleasant mindset. Okay, we can't save them. Please remove the watermark. But if we can save them, then include the watermarks. That way we can go in the photo editor and use the AI to then remove the watermark. We got to be able to do one of the two, Samsung, please. So what can I say about these AI features that might make them more handy? Allow them to come to other apps, work outside of Samsung's apps, meaning in Discovery Feed, I can use Summarize in here, right? I can use these AI features outside of Samsung's ecosystem. The News app, if I'm in here and I'm reading an article, I should be able to use Gemini or use Google Assistant, and it should be baked into that to then summarize. Google should have summarized as a part of their feature lines. That way it can be used in that way, because that's the next best place for that feature to be had. Streaming apps, maybe even, where you can summarize better the description of a movie. Right, I blanked right there. This description of movies, summarize can do a better job of understanding what that movie is, and then giving you that breakdown of what it's about. So let's go on to Netflix. Perfect opportunity. When I come in here to Netflix, why not have the summary feature to give me a better synopsis of what this is about the episode? Something like that, right? Like there's opportunities here where these AI features could grow outside of Samsung's app. So hopefully this comes via software updates through other companies, Google, other interfaces and other apps, or it's a simple big update with One UI 7 or even the S25 series next year. We need to see something like that going forward. I think that's going to be a huge benefit from a software perspective for Samsung to really, if not challenge, really cohabitate with Google when it comes to software services for our smartphones. Last but not least, battery life. Something that software can also continually improve on, which is battery life. But I think the reason why Qi 2 wasn't added was because Qi 2's charging limits was 15 watts wireless charging. So that's not really as fast, and it's very, it limits, right, the how fast it can go. But I mean, even with the current standard that is within here, it's still, I believe, 15 watts anyway, unless through a software update, Samsung can increase the wireless charge capacity. So if you're not going to include Qi 2, is there Qi 3? Is there an improved Qi 2 standard that allows for faster wireless charging? If you notice with OnePlus 12, I believe, and OnePlus just dropped a 50 watt wireless charger, fast wireless charger, allowing for 50 watts wireless charger. Where are these standards? Where are these principles? Where are these battery tech improvements with Samsung? We're far removed from the Galaxy Note 7 line. We are far removed. Bring that to your phones now, and that would include faster wire charging as well. As I've mentioned before, 65-watt charging. Give it to us. MagSafe the phone up. It's a widely adopted standard now. MagSafe. Come on now, Samsung. We gotta get to it, right? And what I would like to see, since I haven't been able to find it, is somewhere in settings, maybe in battery itself, device care or battery. Maybe we have a section in here, like Apple does, where you get to see your charge cycles and your battery health. I think that would also be very, very cool. I don't think battery information gives you anything. No, it just gives you your current battery level, your battery capacity, battery status. It doesn't give you anything else. So why not give us something along the lines of a dedicated section for more battery information? That way we know how our battery's doing, how we could potentially use our other battery features like battery protection, your power saving to improve battery life or keep battery life consistent. Or if our battery health is dropped, maybe it's time for us to update our phones, upgrade our phones. If they don't do battery swaps, just get a simple new phone. Bring that kind of information to a Samsung going forward. These are software updates that could be dropped easily. It's probably nothing on a hardware level for the battery, especially those latter things I just said. But outside of all that, this has been a great phone. It's been phenomenal to use. It has become part of the lifestyle here at home, and I love this Thanos purple. So let me know down in the comment section below, what do you guys think Samsung can improve on with the Galaxy S devices moving forward, the S24 series with software updates? What do you think could come? What are some things that you currently like? What are some things you don't like? The comment section is open for discussion. But again, as always, if you haven't already, make sure you guys ignite the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know my videos. That way you and I can sit back to that suit's cracking. But your man Micah signing out until the next video. Wait for it.